Hello and welcome to another exciting video. Till now we have been able to create new events and display the events that we have already created on our web page. We were also able to delete those events. Now, the thing is, any person can come in and create those events and even delete them. So it doesn't matter who created the event, anyone who is visiting the site will be able to delete it as well. So the question over here is, can we make this streamlined and proper so that the users who are creating the events, they are only able to delete them? And to do that, we will have to implement a login functionality. Now, over here, what we will be exploring is that AppWrite provides a very streamlined way of creating users by a functionality called Magic URL Login. So what happens is you provide an email ID and AppWrite will be sending an email to that account. You need to go in and click on that link. When you do that, it will create a new user using that email ID and it will provide a session as well. So it does two things. It registers you if it's for the first time, and then it also authenticates you and provides a valid session. And that's what we will be exploring in this one. So here, if you visit the documentation of AppWrite Auth Magic URL, here you can see that how the email is sent and how the login functionality works. So here you can see URL search parameter is basically used, and then we extract the secret and user ID using these two. We again use this update magic URL session, and based on that, the user information is provided by AppWrite. Now, to implement this, what we need to do is go back to our AppWrite dashboard, and here select Auth. When you do that, under settings, you'll find the authentication methods. Now, over here, you can see various type of authentication methods like the standard ones with email and password, phone number, JWT, team invites, anonymous, and then we have the magic URL. You also have the OAuth 2 providers, the popular ones being Amazon, Apple, Auth0, and other than that, you have Bitbucket, and there's plenty of more like Microsoft, LinkedIn, PayPal. What we will be exploring is the magic URL. So I've enabled that over here under my account. And the next thing that we need to do is head over to our code base and here open up our AppWrite file that we created. Over here, we'll be making use of the account. So after storage, all we need to do is provide account from AppWrite. Now let's go ahead and make use of this account. So here we will be creating a constant and we'll be exporting the same. So here we have our account now. Let's save this and head over to other file, and this time we'll be creating a new file and we'll be calling it as auth. So as we have done with database storage, similarly we'll be creating a new file and we'll be calling it as auth.ts. Inside this, we will be importing the ID and the account that we created and a couple of methods like login and verify session. So here we have our ID. Using this, we'll be creating a unique ID because the create magic URL session requires a unique identifier that is being provided using the ID.unique method. Then the email that we will be providing to this method login. So we'll create a form where user will be providing the email addresses and that email will be passed over here. And then it will be redirected to this page. So window.location.origin/session will be the page where the session will be created. We then have another method called verify session, which will expect two parameters, user ID and secret. And this is what we will provide once we get the magic URL. And from that magic URL, we'll be retrieving these two things and we'll be passing it over here. And then we'll be updating our magic URL session. So that's the auth.ts file. And here you can see we have just imported the account from AppWrite file. Now that's done. Let's go back to another file, and this time around we'll be creating session file. So under pages, here we have our session.tsx file. Now under session, you can see that when the user will click on the login button, it will say logging you in. So to do that, we'll be having a couple of imports over here, like the use effect, the location, and verify session. So here we'll be doing that. starting with use effect, use location, and then verify session from libauth. Now, here under session, we'll be using the navigate parameter from use location, and then we'll have the use effect in place, which will parse the URL and it will retrieve the user ID and secret, and based on that it will verify this session. So that we will be doing just after this. And here you can see we have the search parameters. We are passing the window.location.search. We have the user ID, the secret, and then we are checking it out over here. If the user ID is not equal to string and type of is not equal to string, then we are redirecting them back to the login page. Otherwise, we are creating an asynchronous method over here, and we're calling the verify session from the libauth page, and we are passing the user ID and secret. Finally, we are navigating the user to the home page, and this is going to be called only once when the component loads. And that's all that we are doing over here in the session file. Finally, we'll be heading over to our login.tsx file, and in this file we'll be calling the login method that we created in our auth file, and we'll be also including the user state. So here we'll be including these two or importing them as use state and login, and then over here in the login function we'll be making use of the sent and set sent variable so that we know that the email has been sent and the user needs to go over there and check the emails. Based on that, we will be showing the message to them, and here we'll be creating the submit button event handler, which is going to take the email that we have entered, and then it will call the login method, and it will then set sent to true. Now here you see the form we have. So all it's asking you to provide is the email address, and then we are calling the submit button. So on submit we need to call this on handle submit. So here we're calling handle on submit, and that's what will be called over here once we click on the submit button. And this we can wrap within a block. So if the email has not yet been sent, then they will see this screen. Otherwise, they will see a message saying you need to go and check in your email. And that's pretty much it that we need to do in order to create a new user and authenticate them. So let's go ahead and run this now. We have the form. Let's click on the login link, and here we have the login coming up. So I've provided the email address on which I want to receive the email. Click on submit now. And here it says check your email for a magic link. Now, if everything is fine, then I should have received an email. Let's go ahead and quickly check that out as well. And there you can see it gives me this URL, follow this link to login. Let's go ahead and click this link. Over here, it says logging you in, and then it just goes away and it comes back over here. So what has happened behind the scene? We'll be reviewing that as well in a bit. But if you go over here under auth and click on users, you will first of all see this, that the user has been created, and the status is saying verified email, ID is user ID, and here you can see for that user under sessions, you can see the session has been created with the IP address and all. So you get the overall data of that particular user and the session. Now in the next one, we'll see how we can make use of this session to ensure that the user is logged in, and further use it to create the event and making sure that they are the ones who are deleting them as well.